The whole car buying rat race is the worst. It feels like everyone you work with in the process is against you. From the car dealership, to the finance company, to those shady warranty companies. They're all trying to suck you dry. And we can't forget about how these insane car prices and interest rates are jacking up everyone's monthly payments. On top of that, transportation is already where people spend the second largest amount of money after their housing. It's not like you can just remove yourself from this rat race either. Most of us need cars to go about our daily life. Cue all of the bike riders in the comment section who want us scum of the earth vehicle drivers to just notice them.
Notice me! No!
Don't worry, guys and gals, we see ya and we like ya, but we're not drinking what you're selling. Riding my bike in 5-degree weather to go pick up groceries is never going to be on my bingo card. The fastest way for me not to get a second date with a woman is to roll up on a bicycle.
Got room for one more if you still want to go to Aspen.
So how do you shift the power back in your favor as a consumer? A good way that I've found is to invest for your future car purchases. Instead of sending over a monthly payment to a financing company that's getting rich off of you, why not keep those profits for yourself and reap all of the rewards? I'll show you the math behind how to make it work, reveal my actual numbers to show you how it has and hasn't worked out for me so far, the pros, and of course, the risks involved. This whole process is not as cut and dry as you might think, because there are quite a few things that you need to be aware of so you don't screw something up. I'll have warnings all throughout this video, so if you don't watch the whole thing and you try to do it on your own, then you can't say that I didn't warn you when it all falls apart. When you start this whole thing is going to improve the odds of success, so don't go attempting it until you feel fully comfortable. Let me explain what I mean. For context, I started working towards this about 10 years ago and wasn't able to fully implement it until a little under 4 years ago. Once I got the debt paid off on my last car, I knew that I would need my next car in around 3 years, so I chose to save up the money to pay cash for that car. Investing money that I need within 3 years was way too risky due to short-term volatility in the stock market, so that's why I decided to start investing the money once I bought my current car in cash. You know what else is risky though? Leaving your personal information out there for scammers to use it against you. And the way that you can protect yourself against this is by using the sponsor of this video, Aura. These data brokers sell your information to robocallers, telemarketers, and anyone else that wants to learn more about you. Yes, these data brokers are why you're getting all of those random spam phone calls every single day. Aura found that over 30 brokers have my information. According to Consumer Reports, the law requires that most data brokers and large companies have to delete your personal information or stop selling it if you tell them to. Look, I've tried to reach out to these data brokers to get my information removed, and it's the worst experience ever. I feel like I'm playing both whack-a-mole and hide-and-go-seek at the same time. Sure, you get your information removed from one site and it pops up on another, if you can even find them all to begin with, which feels impossible. Aura will locate all of these brokers and reach out to them to request the removal of your data. But wait, there's more. On top of this service, Aura also offers password management, fraud monitoring and resolution if your identity gets stolen, a VPN, an antivirus, and they'll keep you up to date on your credit score. I've got to come clean about the fact that Aura told me my credit score isn't as good as I thought. You'd think that it would be a perfect 850 since I talk about money here on the internet, but it's not. It's only at an 827. I'm a failure. Aura is like the internet bodyguard you didn't know you needed. So use the QR code on screen, go to aura.com/Jarrad, or use the link in the description of this video to get 14 days for free. Let's take a look at the math behind this whole thing. Before I walk you through my spreadsheet, we first need to talk about the inputs. As with all future planning, I'm making assumptions here. Sometimes it'll work out, sometimes it won't, and everything can be adjusted as reality plays out. Like, for example, how inflated car prices are right now. Every month I pretend like I have a $275 payment, but instead of sending it to a bank to pay off a loan, I send it to my brokerage account. If I decide in the future that I want a more expensive car, then I'll increase my monthly contribution. When it comes to stock market returns, I'm assuming an average of 7% per year. Yes, I know the market was down around 18% in 2022, but it was also up 28% in 2021, up 18% in 2020, up 31% in 2019, and down 4% in 2018. That's how average annual returns work. Don't worry, we'll talk about the downsides of this in the risk section of the video. The current plan is to purchase a car every 7 years. If the car can last longer, then I'm going to do my best to keep it beyond that amount of time. According to Progressive, the average car lasts 200,000 miles. Some people think that this is absolutely impossible, but I have owned multiple cars that have lasted well over 200,000 miles. My last car made it 225,000 miles, and I even traded it in for $2,000. Progressive also says that it's not uncommon for a car to last up to 300,000 miles as long as it's maintained properly and you buy a good quality make and model. We're talking about vehicles here though, so of course random things can happen. That's why it's important to buy based on quality as opposed to how cool the car looks. The price of car I want to buy is a $15,000 type car every 7 years. If prices eventually start to go down over the long term, then this will be adjusted. Since cars have been underproduced over the past 3 years, prices are still inflated. According to Car Dealership Guy, prices will eventually go down, but we probably won't see pre-2020 prices. I honestly don't understand how average people are going to be able to continue buying cars at these super high prices. They've already increased the average loan term from 5 to 6 years. What are they going to do next? Increase it to something like 8 years so consumers can afford those monthly payments? I don't know what people are going to be more pissed about. The fact that car prices continue to stay high, or the fact that they might have to drive a car that's 8 years old like some of us have been doing our whole lives. Oh my gosh, are you sure a car's gonna last that long? I've always been told that you shouldn't own an old car because it's always breaking down and the wheels are falling off. That's not true, folks. Since this monthly investment will be put into a taxable investment account, I need to assume long-term capital gains tax. I have it set at 15% for when I sell off investments to purchase my car. Before we talk about car inflation, please help support my dog Molly as well as this channel by hitting that thumbs up button and sharing the video with someone you think needs to see it. And now we need to talk about the one everyone is probably thinking about. Car inflation. Prepare to be triggered. I'm assuming a yearly car inflation rate of 3%.
And it's gone.
Hold on, don't throw your phone at the wall. Go ahead and pause the video for a second if you need to scream at me. Recency bias can rot your brain if you are not careful because it tells us to only pay attention to what happened over the past 2 years. Car inflation in 2021 and 2022 were at 5.5% and 11%, but this is not normal, so we shouldn't expect for it to continue this way in the future. Could it? Absolutely. But if it does, then 99% of people in the US won't be able to afford a car, so this strategy will be the least of your worries. I pulled the car inflation data all the way back to 1936. Since I'll be buying every 7 years, I looked at the 7-year rolling car inflation rate. As of 2023, it's not even at 3% yet. To even find a time where the 7-year rolling inflation was at 3%, we would have to go back to 1988. One could even make the argument that car prices today are still way underpriced because inflation for them has been less than 1% or even in the negative for the past 22 7-year rolling periods. Here's the way I look at it. Since I'm going to be a lifetime car buyer, I need to account for the average of many years of inflation as opposed to the 2 recent years that are inflated. Yes, there are going to be years when I buy where inflation is low, and yes, there's going to be years where I buy and inflation is high. But when I average my lifetime of buying cars, inflation is probably going to be around where I'm projecting. If you don't agree with any of the numbers I just laid out, then no big deal. Feel free to change them to whatever you prefer. Here's the spreadsheet with all of my inputs. The cells in green are where I can adjust the inputs as time goes on and if things change. At the end of the first 7 years, I expect to have around $27,000 to spend on a car. Since I'll only be spending around $18,000, that'll leave me with about $9,000 in my brokerage account for the next car that I buy. And you can see the rest of these numbers if this person hypothetically started the process at age 30 through age 86. You can easily make this spreadsheet on your own if you want. Not sure if I'm going to make it available to the public. If I do, then I'll let my email list know first, so I'll throw a link in the description to sign up for that. One thing I want to call out is the trade-in value. Right now, I am not planning on being able to trade my car in for anything. So if I happen to be able to trade it in for something, then that will just increase the amount of my initial investment for the next car that I purchase. The question you all might be wondering, how well is this car investing strategy working out for me so far? Well, yeah, how about that? I'm all about being open and honest, so I would say good and bad. I've been working this plan for a little under 7 years. I currently have a little over $12,000 in my M1 Finance car fund account and $1,581 in another car fund brokerage account. Since I started this process, I wasn't expecting car prices to be so darn inflated. My original plan was to buy a $9,000 type car every 7 years, accounting for 2% inflation. Based on those numbers, at $250 per month, everything would work out. And I'm actually ahead based on those assumptions. But since reality has changed, I need to change. After adjusting for 3% inflation and a $15,000 type car, which will cost about $18,400 in 3 years, I should technically have about $14,600 in the account today, and I only have $13,591. To catch up, I'll need to increase my monthly contributions to $275 per month, and I have about $1,000 I'm going to invest into the account within the next couple of weeks. Some of you might rightfully look at this and think the whole strategy failed. And that's okay if you want to look at it like that. I personally see it as a plan that just needs updated based on the current market conditions. This is no different from my retirement investing plan needing adjusted as I get closer to withdrawing money for retirement. To be honest, I expect to have to make multiple adjustments to this plan over the next 50 plus years. It would be extremely stupid for me to think that there won't be any other random unknown events in the future. I should also mention that my car investing portfolio consists of the Vanguard S&P 500 fund. To be honest, I wish I would have started with the Vanguard Total Stock Market ETF instead, so once I have enough money in VOO for my next car, I will switch everything over to VTI going forward. If you're curious what my top 5 ETFs are, then I'll throw a link above my head and in the description down below to a video I made on that topic. If you want access and a bonus to the brokerage that I use for my car investing strategy, then I will have a link in the description for you. Let's talk about some pros, then move on to the risks of using this investment strategy for future cars. The first pro is that you're almost forced to find a car that fits within the plan that you've laid out within your spreadsheet, which makes it more difficult to spend more money. Going over will cause a ripple effect in the future plan, which could cause you to have to set aside more money to make up for overspending. You actually feel the consequences of this decision. Car dealerships always want to try to upsell us when we buy vehicles with debt because it's easier for us to accept. Adding just $50 or $100 to your monthly payment feels like such a small amount, but adding that $50 per month to a 6-year loan will increase the amount that you are spending by $3,600. Another pro is one that's easily overlooked, and that's cheaper insurance. When you pay cash for a car, you pay less in insurance since there isn't a loan. Not many people realize this because most have been in this cycle of car debt, so all they know is the insurance rate that they've always been paying. I've noticed that since paying cash for cars, I take way better care of them. Because it has to last me at least 7 years, this thing needs to be looked at to the best of my ability. Oil changes happen on time, the car gets looked at when any maintenance light pops on, and it gets taken in at least once per year to get a general inspection done. You also become a more responsible car shopper. Since this car has to last longer than most people keep their vehicles, you have to get it right from the very beginning. This means doing the proper research up front to find those makes and models that have a long enough track record. Unfortunately, most American brand cars are not on that list. Honda and Toyota are the top dogs, and to be honest, I am a big fan of Hyundai because I've had a lot of success with them. Another pro is that you don't have to spend the amount that you have planned in your spreadsheet. I'll have $18,000 to spend on my next car, but if I find a car for less, then that difference is going to grow since it's staying invested. You're actually rewarded to look for a quality car at a good price. If you continue doing this, then it could get to the point where you have the opportunity to reduce the amount that you are investing every month in the future. Or you can just start buying cars that are a little more expensive than you originally planned. Now we need to cover the cons, the risks involved with investing for your future cars. Some of these are probably obvious, but I wouldn't feel right if I didn't call out the risks involved with this strategy. As with everything in life, it's not for everyone. The biggest con and risk is the fact that real life doesn't play out like a spreadsheet, and your plan will most likely need to be changed in the future. Investment returns could change, you might have a car die before that 7-year period, or car inflation could continue to stay out of control. As I showed you earlier, I had to change my initial assumptions since car inflation has been extremely high. Now luckily, I can afford it, but the main reason that I was able to do that is because my finances were stable enough when I first started and right now. For all I know, I might be in a worse financial position in the future and I might have to abandon this strategy. And I'm okay with that. If you're just barely getting by financially and can't afford changes like this, then you're way better off putting your money in a savings account versus an investment account until you have everything more under control. Even if you cannot afford to take on the risk associated with investing the money, you should still try to save up to pay cash for all your future cars. It's hard to explain how good of a feeling it is not to owe anyone any money for the car that I drive. For sure, one of the better financial decisions that I've made in my life. When it comes to the stock market return portion of this whole thing, you need to be careful. Short-term volatility in the market will eat you alive if you're not careful. By short-term, I'm talking anything less than 10 years. I showed this in my video about the surprising facts every investor needs to know. I'll have it linked above my head. My plan is based on 7 years, so that right there is taking on a lot more risk. I personally wouldn't be doing this strategy if I thought that I would need to buy a car in under 7 years. Another risk is one that I talked about in that same video about surprising facts every investor needs to know. And that's timing. You could be doing everything right with this investing strategy and could get so unlucky to the point where when you go to withdraw the money, the stock market happens to be down 50% or car inflation happens to skyrocket up to 20%. Anything is possible in the future, even these very rare or black swan type events. Watch this video on 9 surprising facts every investor needs to know. Help support my dog Molly and this channel by hitting that thumbs up button and sharing the video with someone you think it would help. See you in the next one, friends. Done.